Everyone wants to take their business, their skills, to the next level. Small and mid-sized business owners have exceptional insight into how to do this. They endure and thrive because they find ways to overcome the challenges that come their way, and they can teach us valuable lessons to apply to our own companies and lives. Stephen Nooner, founder and owner of Alkali, a company with a unique process that helps businesses more effectively buy and manage their insurance programs. And Bob Gibbons, builder of Riata Commercial Realty, a real estate advisor and tenant advocate, are two prominent Metroplex businessmen who, along with their weekly guests, will ask their and your probing questions, finding impactful solutions that will help you reach for the next level. Here are your hosts, Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons.
Welcome, everyone, to The Next Level, Conversations that Propel Business. I'm Stephen Nooner.
And this is Bob Gibbons.
And we have a very special show for you today. But before we get started, we'd like to set the stage for our first-time listeners. Our show exists to support the entrepreneurial community, and our goal is to basically facilitate fun and meaningful conversations where we can all learn from each other's experiences and hopefully use that knowledge and apply it to take our businesses, families, and communities that we care about to the next level.
Yeah, and we do that every week here on KAAM 770s. And we'd like to always start off every show with a little bit of wisdom from someone that we find to be interesting. And Steve, I know you've got a good quote for this week, so what do you got?
Well, it's unknown wisdom, so whoever you are, thank you for it. But I was listening to the radio, and someone was quoting someone else unknown, and it was that when it comes to business, hire the missionary and not the mercenary. They both can be successful, but the missionary almost always ends up earning more in the long run.
Sometimes that's not immediately obvious, is it, though? You see some people that you're thinking, this guy's just such a jerk, and yet he's so successful. How'd that happen?
Short-term success, I guess. People matter. That's what I took from it, is that people matter. And if you have a long-term vision, I heard another quote, be nice to the people on your way up. They're the same people you meet on your way back down.
Yeah, I've seen people on top and on bottom, especially in the real estate industry. Well, our guest today, and by the way, we haven't mentioned this to anybody in the past, but we have a new name for all of our guests in the future, and they're called the Next Levelers. So the show is the next level, so the people that we interview are the next levelers. So I guess we might ought to ask them what they think about that. But our next levelers for today are Judy and Hal Daugherty. They are the owners of Parkwood International, and Parkwood International is a recruiting firm, and they have a real interesting story. They started about 17 years ago in 1998. They have 14 employees, and they're based in Frisco, and you can learn more about them at parkwoodintl.com. That's parkwoodintl.com. So welcome. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, really glad that you guys are here. Thank you. We like to start off every show with a focus on gratitude. So in your life now, right now, what are you most thankful for or appreciative of? What are you most grateful for?
On the spot.
On the spot. I am probably most grateful to know that God is always with me, no matter what.
Outstanding. We need that.
I'm grateful for several things. I'm grateful that I've had Judy as my partner for 51 years, a great partner both in life and in business.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful for the success of our business. Really pleased to see the opportunities that we've given to people that work for us and how they're prospering.
Now, we ask you also in advance, sort of tell us something about yourselves that is not immediately obvious to everybody else. And I know that Hal answered this because Hal said that Judy is an open book. And everybody who spends 5 minutes with her knows everything about her. And he said that I'm not an open book, I'm a closed book. So that should create some interesting opportunities. So maybe we might get some of that today.
That's our goal.
Okay, well, let's start off. One of the things you just mentioned, Hal, was that you guys have been in business together. You've been married for 51 years, or you've been together 51 years, but you've also been in business. How long have y'all been in business, and when did you start that, and how did it come about?
We started the business together 17 years ago, and I'll try and make a long story short. I had spent my entire career in corporate America, had been president and or CEO of several manufacturing companies. joined up with investment bankers. The strategy there is to buy, build, and sell. We had sold the last company. And actually, Judy and I had considered retiring. And as a matter of fact, we did for a very, very short period of time and realized it wasn't for us and decided we wanted to do something together. And so we looked at several opportunities. In my business career, I had spent a lot of time recruiting people for positions that reported to me. And so that led us down that path, and we started the recruiting business, Parkwood International, almost 18 years ago now.
Interesting. And so when you say that you retired for a little while, then I guess you weren't like in your 30s at the time.
No, we were in our 50s. I'm 73, Judy's 73 also now. So no, we started, when most people start thinking about retiring.
On the air. That was brave.
Yeah. Well, if I can add a comment, it's interesting. People talk about looking forward to retiring, and we thought we would. But the fact of the matter is, if we go back 100 years, people were generally engaged in hard labor. And retirement really was a reward well earned and deserved. But most of us now are dealing with issues that require mental exertion, not physical exertion. Mm-hmm. And if you have a passion for what you're doing and you love what you're doing, I don't know why there should be an arbitrary age at which you decide to stop doing it. So that's been our view.
I agree. So do you feel like there's anything different about starting a business in your 50s or 60s than if you were earlier in life?
I don't think so. I think we had a lot of experience to fall back on. I think if somebody in their 20s or 30s was starting a business for the first time, they wouldn't have had the world and business experience that Judy and I had. So I think that was a definite advantage. We knew what we were getting into.
Mm-hmm. So having used the services and then going into, what seems to be a pretty crowded industry, how did you make that jump? How did you get going?
Well, I will add that our business is no more crowded than the insurance business or the real estate business.
Amen.
There's just a lot of practitioners out there.
Yes.
And so what we did, we started with the fundamentals. We hired a couple of people right out of the box, trained them while we were training ourselves, started getting clients, started finding candidates, and put together a plan that worked for us. We were unprofitable for the first year. And then we finally started to turn a profit into the second year.
So, Judy, what industries do you guys serve as recruiters?
We presently work in 5 different industries. We work in oil and gas, chemicals and refineries, pharmaceutical, biotech, healthcare, and allied health.
So all the really smart people.
How did you decide on those industries?
I don't know that it was a decision that was made other than some of the people that came to work for us were in those industries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just keep going.
Is it okay?
He'll edit this out.
Okay. Okay. But Hal made a lot of those decisions as to who was going to be in what. I worked in recruiting, in printing when we started the business. Really loved the recruiting side of the business. Becoming a manager and a runner of a company is not near as much fun as the recruiting side.
How do you guys differentiate yourselves? That's the key when it is crowded, right? So how do you guys draw that distinction?
Well, we often don't, which leads to arguments, which is natural in any partnership, which is only exacerbated when you get to carry the arguments home and have them over dinner. But generally, I'm the technical side of the business. Mm-hmm. Judy is the emotional side of the business. Mm-hmm. And I can think back of many, many, many times where her spirit, her emotion, her energy has carried us as an organization through some very, very tough spots. And I'd say generally that's the way our strengths fall.
So in terms of competing with the other companies that do what you do, what do you do to differentiate yourselves from them?
We really do an excellent job of training our recruiters on caring about what they're doing. They are making a difference in someone's life. They are creating an opportunity, a career growth experience, and they're helping companies grow and become very, very valuable to the world that we live in. And we never let them forget that. They are not there just to make money. even though the success comes from knowing what a candidate wants and being able to give that candidate the opportunity.
Who's your ideal client? I mean, not on the candidate side, but the people that are using your service. Who is your ideal type of profile of a client?
I think generally there are two. There is the candidate that wants just the action, get the action done. Find me a candidate. Let's not have a lot of short talk. I'll tell you exactly what I want. Send me the candidate and move on. Mm-hmm. Then we have some very strong relationships with clients, and those clients share what their needs are. They talk about their industry. They help us grow as individuals in our industry as well.
More of a partnership. I mean,
right.
And are there things that early on in the relationship that are just cues, or do you change your servicing model based on what you have in regards to the need?
Well, there are definitely cues. You know who wants to get the job done, and you know who wants to build a relationship. And it's kind of fun to decide which way you're going to go. Are you going to go with the one that has the, for me, it's always emotional. I mean, so I want somebody that wants to get to know the candidate, wants a great life, wants their business to grow, and wants to have a relationship with the candidate as well as with us. I like that. Mm-hmm. The other side of it is just find me the candidate, send them to me, I'll let you know if I want them, and that's okay too.
So what's your biggest challenge in business right now?
Right now, we're in what's called a candidate-driven market. There are many, many more positions open than there are candidates available. And it is very, very difficult to find people who are willing to make a change for good reason. 95% of our placements require relocation, so we have to find somebody that's career-oriented, doesn't have family obligations that prevents them from moving. So right now, our biggest challenge is finding candidates to present to our clients. Our clients are starving for talent, and it's just very difficult to find.
Interesting.
Does everybody lie on their resume?
We've heard that to be true. I don't have any proof, so I don't know for sure.
I don't know if everybody lies, but I think people certainly exaggerate their accomplishments.
Sure.
Which is really where our skill set comes in. We have to probe and interview these candidates to get below the surface. One of our hallmarks, if we have a saying, is that there's always more to learn. And so we use the analogy of an iceberg. All we ever get to see is the tip of the iceberg with both clients and candidates, and it's our job to see as far below the waterline as we can to get the true story.
Interesting. So do you spend a lot of time on LinkedIn?
Well, we spend a lot of time on a lot of places. LinkedIn is one of them, but our most valuable candidates come from those that are not readily available to our clients or to our competitors. So we do a lot of networking, trying to find people who are leaning toward making a change but haven't made that commitment yet, and then persuading them to at least engage our client.
Referrals are often very, very valuable to us because someone sees an opportunity either from our website or from LinkedIn and chooses to send it on to John or Philip or Peter or whatever and say, this is an opportunity for you.
They're the lifeblood of every business. All right, well, we're going to head into a commercial break, pay our sponsors some tribute. But before we do, just a little hook here. Congratulations, you just hired your next rising star. Or did you? What do you do when you begin to realize your new star may go supernova and create a black hole for your company? Come back after the break to find out.
And now, Confessions of a Recovering Landlord.
This is Bob Gibbons with Riata Commercial Realty, and I am your recovering landlord. After 20 years as a landlord, I now use that experience only for the benefit of companies that lease or buy office buildings and warehouses. Today's confession: never exercise your renewal option. Now, I know that sounds crazy, right? Why would you get a renewal option if you don't ever plan to use it? Well, a renewal option is really just a reservation for your space, which prevents the landlord from leasing your space out to someone else, leasing it out from under you. Some options actually bind you to an extended term before you even know what the rental rate will be. But that rental option was created 3, 5, or even 10 years ago when you signed your lease and may not work for you today. Fortunately, there is a way, an easy way, to renew your lease without the risk of exercising your renewal option. To learn what that is, please contact me at www.texastenantrep.com. Again, that's texastenantrep.com.
Want to create a breakthrough in your business or personal life? Here's a tip. Stop shopping for insurance and insurance agents. Begin looking for a way to more effectively buy and manage your insurance. At Alkali, that is exactly what we provide. The freedom you create by changing this mindset alone will make an impact. Plus, you can stop listening to all the insurance commercials on TV and radio, unless they're funny, of course. Are you an insurance novice or just want to take things to the next level? Knowledge is power. Come join us for the single most important class that you never took in business school. We have the following upcoming classes that we teach through Collin College and the Small Business Development Center. Thursday, September 24th, Protecting Your Business 202. Thursday, October 15th, Healthcare Reform. What the health is going on? Thursday, November 19th, Protecting Your Business 101. To sign up or learn more, visit us at alkaliservices.com. That's alkali, A-L-K-A-L-I, services with an S.com.
Hi, this is Terry Pham, CEO of Fat Straws. Has listening to Bob and Steven put you in a sour mood? Well, come on by Fat Straws and mention Next Level Show and receive a complimentary bubble tea guaranteed to sweeten your day. We have 2 locations, one in West Plano and one over by the Galleria. This offer will be valid through October 20th.
Welcome back to The Next Level, conversations that propel business. We're here today with our guests, Hal and Judy Daugherty of Parkwood International. If you want to learn more about their business, go to parkwoodintl.com.
This is the segment where we shift gears a little bit, and we actually have adopted, Zig Ziglar had what he called the Wheel of Life. And the great Zig Ziglar had these 7 areas: career, social, financial, family, physical, mental, and spiritual, that he said that we all need to focus on. And if any of these areas started running low, then it's hard to go down the highway with a flat tire. And so if we were to look back over the last 12 months and you were to pick one and focus on one of these areas, what would you say would be your biggest high?
Our biggest high, in my opinion, and Judy, I'm sure, has a view she'll add to it, is that we have been incredibly successful.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We've brought people on that have been superstars. They've performed well. They adhere to our core values, which we live by the way. And that's character, respect, performance, and balance. We live by those. We send them to clients. We send them to candidates. That's our standard of operation. And we've brought people in that embrace those values. And it's just been a joy working with them.
How do you know if they buy into those values before you hire them?
Don't know. It's embarrassing, but our job is to interview candidates for our clients. And you'd think if we're good enough to do that, we should be good enough to interview them for ourselves. But we're dealing with people, and people can come across one way through an interview process and be an entirely different person once you get them on board.
Figure out a screen for that character thing. I don't think any of us would be sitting in this room together.
Well, speaking of screening, though, do you guys use any particular screening? There's so many different Berkman Profile, Colby, Strength Finders, all kinds of stuff. Have you found any of those to be particularly good or bad?
Well, that's interesting. Up until 2 years ago, we used so many testing tools that it was overwhelming. I felt like the tests were giving me who I should hire and who I shouldn't, instead of my gut instincts, which are usually better than the testing. We can all play games on tests, on most tests. But 2 years ago, we just decided in December that this next year we were going to go with no testing at all. We interview face-to-face. We do a brief interview on the telephone, and then we interview face-to-face with Hal, myself, and our 2 members of our leadership team. And we make a decision. The 4 of us sit around and say, and it's interesting because sometimes you start out thinking one thing, and then somebody will comment, oh, but did you notice that they did thus and such or whatever. And then you say, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Let's talk more about that. It almost helps us make better decisions I can't say that there's been any dramatic change from testing and not testing. But then after they've been with us about a month or two, we do use SPQ Gold that is very, very good for phone call reluctance. And we have been using that for the last 2 years after they've been on board.
And what's that name again?
SPQ Gold.
SPQ Gold.
And it measures call reluctance. So the salesperson that doesn't want to pick up the phone
Yes.
or whatever, or a recruiter that doesn't want to pick up
Yes.
the phone.
For a variety of reasons. Research was done by two psychologists about 15, 20 years ago, and they said there must be reasons salespeople are afraid to pick up the phone. So they did a very, very deep research study, wrote a book called The Reluctance, Sales Call Reluctance. And out of that, they devised this assessment, and they found out there are 12 different kinds of sales call reluctances. And so we used to use it pre-hire, we use it post-hire now for training purposes. And so we'll sit down with somebody after they've been with us for a month or so, give them the assessment, and then we'll review it with them and say, hey, look, here's some issues that you need to deal with. What they discovered was all sales call reluctance, all 12 of them, are learned and therefore can be unlearned.
Wow.
And that's the beauty of the assessment. It's not a test. It's not a right or wrong. It's here's a belief system you have that we'd like you to investigate and challenge yourself as to why you have that belief. Who was it? A parent, a teacher, a religious figure? Who gave you this idea that was a bad thing to do?
Wow.
And it's very powerful.
Yeah, that's really powerful.
It really is interesting. And some of the 12, we have very great deal of difficulty getting over. Others are quite quick. Once somebody brings it to our attention, we can get over it pretty quickly. But some of them are almost impossible to overcome.
I misspoke. The title of the book is The Psychology of Sales Call Reluctance.
Okay. So that's very interesting, and we could talk a lot longer on just that subject, but we need to move on. So, in this high-low, that was your high. You've been very successful in hiring the right people. What's the low?
This is really embarrassing because, again, we're supposed to be good at judging people. We hired a sociopath. And I don't know.
On purpose?
Yeah. Apparently.
Shockingly.
I don't know how many people know a sociopath, have worked with a sociopath. They're wonderful at disguising who they are. After all, they have no values. They are amoral. So they're not doing something wrong in their mind. They're just doing what they do. And this person was charming, engaging, cooperative, just on the surface did everything we thought should be done. But as time went on, we discovered that the person was lying to clients, lying to candidates, cheating us, causing all kinds of dissension among our team by going to one person and say, hey, I just had lunch with the other person. They said these terrible things about you. I thought you'd like to know. And this went on for 6 months, and it finally started to come to the surface, and we got rid of him. But boy, the damage that he did and could have done, and I can only say he was good at it. There was no indication. No indication at all.
So just stirring stuff up for the fun of stirring it up.
Just because.
I mean, there was no. What was his end game with that?
Well, lying to the clients and the candidates. The end game was to persuade a client to hire a candidate that really wasn't qualified.
So financial.
Yeah, and then part of it was just meanness.
How do you heal from that when you have something that's so? I mean, I'm sure that was pretty painful to see when you started realizing all that was coming up and the deception and everything else. I mean, how did you guys heal as a team? What did you guys do other than get rid of them?
The hardest part for me was emotionally, because I am an emotional person, and I was very impressed with this person. Excuse me. And to find out that he was not who we thought he was just devastating for me, because I trust everybody until they give me reason not to. And so this was quite a blow. It's my first experience with anyone like that.
What we did was we pulled the team together. We were frank with him. We said, we fired him. Here's why we fired him. We apologize for having hired him. We apologize for allowing it to go on this long. We fell back on our core values, which I mentioned earlier, and said he violated every single one of our core values. You, as a team, on the other hand, have supported and embraced every one of them. All we can say is we're sorry, and let's move on and put this ugly experience behind us. And everybody was on board of that because they knew that there was no maliciousness on our part.
Yeah.
But by that time, they probably all knew.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't a secret. In fact, sadly, a lot of times the top executives are the last one to know.
Now, you said a lot of time. I think it's 100%.
I was trying to be kind. Okay, well, let's move on a little bit. What's one of the biggest breakdowns that you guys have had that have turned into a breakthrough in your business?
Breakdown? Did you start something?
Well, I think the recession of 2008-9.
Oh.
We had a huge staff. We had 3 times as many people as we do now. Our fixed and variable costs were enormous. And when the recession hit, obviously our business dried up. People stopped hiring. It became what is called a client-driven market. I mentioned a candidate-driven market. It's a client-driven market. There are so many more candidates than there are positions open that we got candidates calling us nonstop every day, can you help me, can you help me? And we couldn't. So we had to quickly reduce our staff, but our fixed costs were still high. We couldn't deal with those. And for a year, Judy and I had to write personal checks every month to the business to keep it going. And that's a decision we had to make. Do we just fold it up and move on? Or do we believe in this enough to make a high personal investment? And we did. And the good that has come out of that is we are much more profit-focused than revenue-focused. We don't let our expenditures get ahead of our revenue. We're much more temperate in how we spend money, where we spend money, and that has made us financially a stronger company.
Very good. Move on to Section 8.
Well, one of the things we like to ask is a question that's a little bit of a thinking question, so I'll make sure you get your coffee ready. If we're all sitting together here 3 years from now, and we were to look back to today, what has to happen in your life, professionally, personally, for you to feel satisfied with the progress you've made?
Well, if we were sitting here 3 years from now, at this stage in our life, Judy and I would have sold the business. We would have left it in the hands of someone that we believed could take it to a much higher level than the level we've got it at. We've always been interested in building a legacy rather than a business. And so that's very, very important to us that the next owner make us look like we didn't know what we were doing.
That's pretty amazing that you would want the next person that you sell the business to be even more successful. I love hearing that.
Extremely. I can't imagine not seeing the business last forever. I want somebody to take it on and make it a gazillion-dollar business.
That's exciting. Well, we hope that happens, but we hope that that's also reflected in the sales price when you sell the business.
Oh, didn't I mention that?
I figured that's coming, but well, thank you, Hal and Judy, for being our guests today.
Thank you.
We're excited y'all have been here with us. If you'd like to get in touch with Hal or Judy, please do so at their website, parkwoodintl.com. To connect with us on the show, please go to nextlevelshow.com, where you'll find today's conversation as well as other conversations with other guests in the past. You can also see who's coming up in the future. If you'd like to encourage a friend to listen, we'd love that. And please also connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, which is at Next Level Show, for updates of upcoming guests, to propose questions for guests, or just to share your thoughts. We'll see you next week.
Have a good week.
You have been listening to The Next Level, Conversations That Propel Business with Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons. Join us every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. for more prolific conversations that will take your business to the next level.